It looks perfect. Yeah, you look good too. The dog's wagging his tail too.
Okay, Jackie, are you able to hear us pretty well?
Yeah, but move that box over to the side.
Which one?
That one in the corner over there. Behind you. To your
Oh, that cardboard box over there, I think. I mean, that was.
This one?
yes.
I would think okay, there you go.
What else do you want, Jackie?
Audio sources where he is.
Do you still have your computer connected?
I have my
We're getting feedback, so maybe you need to disconnect yours.
I got it. Okay.
Should we move like some of these plastic baggies of clothes right here?
No, you're fine.
Okay, I'm out of this one. Oh, no.
I think I need to tell the rest of
Okay.
the
Now.
Yeah, you're fine now, Linton.
All right. What else do you want? Do you want us to spread things?
And if they say anything from that location.
So when it's time for you to speak, we just suggest that you get as close as possible to the microphone so that we can hear you clearly.
Can you hear me right now very clearly?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So this is a good place.
Yes, perfect.
Fantastic.
You go back in the box again, back camera.
You can just another table here.
I mean, there's lots of other toys around here.
Yeah.
Do we want to set up more tables within the?
This table.
Oh,
Just move these plastic bags off here.
I don't know what you guys are doing, but I will just tell me what to do to help.
And this is.
You actually could bring those chairs around so you don't have to stand and just put them on the sides of the toys. And
Oh. Like.
look at me orchestrating from the office.
I'll just go, Jackie. This is
Okay.
actually-
Yes.
Yeah, you can sit here and we got some of those big ones back here.
And then that way you're not standing up over the toys and then you could just sit there and have a conversation.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
put a couple chairs like
Put a
here.
couple
Yeah.
chairs here like that. Okay. I cannot do a lot of lifting. My back is out right now.
Sorry.
No, just my lower back. But
How many people will be sitting in here?
Is it 3?
Solomon will be coming in for sure. I don't know whether anybody else is coming over here for it. So in terms of the,
So then Linton, put a chair right there in that gap, right between that football
Okay.
and the two tables.
Okay.
the
Right
link,
here?
the link that you gave me
Yes.
automatically become a panel. Can I just send that link to people if they want to? Or is that a different one?
Oh, the link that,
Yeah.
this link, the link you have is for here. We don't want, if they want to just watch it, they'll go
Yeah.
to BART.gov/board
Okay,
and then you can watch the live stream.
okay. I wonder if they're gonna feel okay about that, but I will tell them that.
And that's
We're only
something
talking from here, yeah, we're only talking from here.
So you guys are fine. I'm gonna go ahead and mute your audio and mute your video until it's time for you to go live.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Is my volume all right?
Your volume is fine.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jackie. Sound check, please.
Good morning. You sound just fine.
Great, thank you.
Jackie, same for me.
Good morning.
Do you hear me?
Sound great.
Thank you. Good morning, Robert, Bevan.
Good morning.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Jackie. I haven't had heat for 2 days, so someone's coming in between 9 and 11. So I've got the dogs locked up and I should be able to just let them in for a minute. But if I disappear, that's why.
Understood.
Not fun.
Wow.
I was going to say.
No.
Thank goodness for down comforters.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And a big dog. Yeah, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
It's a mobile heating blanket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My nickname for my dog is a hot water bottle with a heartbeat.
Good morning.
President,
Good morning. Yes,
you have a quorum.
wonderful. All righty. Well, good morning and happy holidays. I'd like to call the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit District Board meeting of December 16th, 2021 to order. Please note, pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N-1521, public participation for this meeting will be via teleconference only. The meeting is being live streamed and can be watched via BART.gov, and presentation materials can be viewed on BART.legistar.com. For our public participants, your microphones are automatically muted. If you wish to speak on an agenda item, please dial *9 to virtually raise your hand when public comment on that item is announced. When it's your turn to speak, you may need to dial *6 to accept the unmute request. Again, *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute yourself. Comments which have been received via email have been provided to the board and will be included as a permanent part of the meeting record. And with that, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Director Saltzman?
Here.
Director Simon? Director Allen? Director Ames?
Here.
Director Duffy?
Here.
Director Lee?
Here.
Director McPartlin?
Here.
Director Rayburn?
Here.
President Foley?
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Director McPartlin, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I believe you are muted.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. All right, let us turn to the next agenda item, which is our closed session. The board will now enter closed session as listed on today's meeting agenda. The board will reconvene in open session at the conclusion of closed session. Madam Secretary, is there any public comment on closed session?
No, there is not.
Wonderful. All right, well, we will proceed into closed session, hoping to return by 10 a.m. And folks, I will see you in that other meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Victor on.
But not.
He's got a sweater.
Oh, nice. He changed. I know.
See you, man. Mic check from the conference room.
You sound fine. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, we'll give folks a few moments to get into the room.
Z3, green room. I didn't even know we had a green room.
And you do have a quorum. They are on, they just don't have their videos on.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Is my sound level all right?
It is fine.
Thank you. All right. Well, the board has concluded its closed session and there is no announcement to be made. I want to thank everyone for your patience while we were in closed session. Thank you for that. And let's now turn to our introduction of special guests on the agenda. And if you will, I'll have a few notes here. Fellow board members, oops, there we go. Fellow board members, it's my pleasure to introduce a few special guests who are the recipients of the 2021 BART Holiday Toy Drive. This year, we have selected the East Contra Costa County Alliance, or ECA, as the 2021 recipient of all toys and gift cards that our generous employees have donated. I'd like to welcome Solomon Boulette, who serves as ECA's coordinator. I'd also like to welcome Alyssa Friedman, the president and CEO of Opportunity Junction. And I'd like to welcome Kathy Botello, the executive director of Cope Family Support Center. All three are joining us live via Zoom from Antioch. And if staff will start up, hello everyone, how are you? I'm over here, there we are. I believe we have a brief photo collage, and actually we see some live images as well, as you're about to see our BART Police Department delivering the first batch of toys to ECA earlier this week. And if we've got that, that'd be great. All right, well, we're waiting for this to start up. Let me just let you know that BART employees and board members donated over 1,000 toys and $800 in gift cards. Additionally, our advertising partner, Outfront Media, donated another 35 toys and $250 in gift cards. So total donations for this year's toy drive for ECA is more than 1,000 toys and more than $1,000 worth of gift cards. Earlier, I mentioned executives from two different organizations, in addition to the ECA executive director, who are going to join us and speak in a few moments, which is true because ECA is really not just a single organization. It's a collaborative of East Contra Costa County nonprofits that are dedicated to strengthening policies, services, and resources for our region. They formed an alliance to help empower East County residents through services that they provide with shelter, food, youth activities, counseling, legal services, job training, a world of resources that we can help provide East County. So I simply thank ECA for that. And, as things happen in this world, this pandemic that we're struggling with and moving through, there was a recent fire in Brentwood that destroyed an apartment complex and displaced 25 Contra Costa families. And ECA has stepped up and they're going to take the toys from our employees and say that these toys are being donated and they couldn't have come at a more critical time. This is an opportunity for us really to extend our reach and to help those families in need. So at this time, I'd like to invite Solomon, Alyssa, and Kathy to say a few words. So I'll turn the mic over to you.
Good morning, President Foley and members of the BART board. First of all, I just want to thank all of you and the employees of BART on behalf of ECA for the generous toys and gift cards that have been donated this year. We are at a very sort of sacred place here today at Opportunity Junction. I think as the name indicates, I think we can learn a lot from the name itself. It's about opportunity, and it's where we come together to make a difference. And I'm especially grateful to the families who make our missions possible, because I don't think any of us exist just so we can say we exist. We exist because of the families in need, the families that we serve. And it is them that I think, on whose behalf, that I also want to express my gratitude this morning. We're delighted that we have embarked on this positive relationship with BART and BART employees. This is all about building new relationships, and hopefully relationships that can be sustained over time. None of us are interested in a one-time relationship or transaction. I think all of us look for opportunities to build and strengthen our relationships with one another. The East Contra Costa community is one where ECA is very committed to, but we realize that our work will be incomplete without strong partnerships with BART employees, and many other of our constituents. So again, I just want to thank you on behalf of ECA. It is a pleasure for me to serve in this capacity, mobilizing our human capital to make a difference in this important region. So thank you again, and I want to wish every one of you happy holidays. And in conclusion, I just want to thank all the staff of BART that have made this possible. They work very hard and diligently, and I know some of them are here with us today, but they've been part of the journey from day one. And that really shows commitment and dedication. They've exemplified that. So with that, again, thank you, and wishing every one of you happy holidays.
Hi, everybody. Elisa Friedman here with Opportunity Junction. Thank you so much for choosing East Contra Costa Community Alliance. Opportunity Junction is a job training and career counseling organization. And when we talk to our alumni about why they come and invest so much time in our programs, training for new careers, the number one reason that I hear is for their children, to make a better life for their children. And while they are in that training and while they are starting out their careers, it is often a time of great economic stress. So you saw one of our CNA trainees, LaDasha Wheeler, in your BART newsletter article with her young daughter, her 6-year-old daughter. Her Christmas is going to be better because of you and the BART employees and everybody who donated to make sure that our kids have toys. So I'm very grateful to you for that. We've got a whole mess of certified nursing assistant trainees coming this evening, actually, to pick up toys and other things. So thank you. I want to make sure before Kathy gets up, I want to also introduce a couple of other colleagues who are here today. So we've got Deborah Ballinger from Monument Impact. And do you want to say just a few words?
Sure.
Sorry.
I just want to thank all of you. Monument Impact serves the immigrant and refugee communities in East Contra Costa and Central Contra Costa County. Our Latinx community was extremely hard hit by COVID and are struggling still to recover and to get back to work. And so the gifts today will be so grateful to have that opportunity to give something to their children when they've been working so hard just to keep a roof over their head and food on the table. So thank you again.
And Kirsten Rigsby from the Village Community Resource Center.
Hi, I just, on behalf of the community out in Far East Contra Costa County, in Brentwood and Byron and Oakley, and on behalf of Village Community Resource Center and our families and children, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your generosity. We serve students in after-school programming, as well as providing health services to families and leadership opportunities to parents. And, many of the children that we serve wouldn't necessarily have anything under the tree, right? And they would be missing out. And so your donations are so very, very welcome. It's an opportunity for the children out in the community to feel a part of something, right? And to feel connected to others and to know that others are thinking about them. In a special way, these toys are going to go to those families who have been displaced in the fire in Brentwood. And again, those who lost everything will have some portion of normalcy back this holiday season due to your generosity. So thank you.
Our other organizations that are part of ECA include Loaves and Fishes, which provides food and dining rooms, court-appointed special advocates, which works with foster youth to give them an advocate, somebody who can really work for them. SparkPoint brings together different organizations providing services for financial security. Winter Nights Family Shelter, which runs a rotating family shelter. Rainbow Community Center, which serves the LGBTQ community here in Contra Costa County, and Contra Costa Senior Legal Services. Mark alluded to all of these different services, but anyway, Senior Legal Services, People Who Care Children's Association, which works a lot with teens, giving them service opportunities and mental health counseling, and Brighter Beginnings, which supports healthy births and development by partnering with parents. And now I'd like to introduce our final member, which is Cope Family Center, and Kathy Patella.
Good morning, and thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Cope Family Support Center serves families, their mental health needs, and holistically we provide parent education, anger management, fatherhood programs, and your donations, BART employees, your BART, the board, just what you're doing is so much needed and appreciated. I'm going to tell you about one family that we're going to who's going to receive some of these gifts. It's a father of 4. He's disabled. He's unemployed. His children are ages 4 to 14, and they don't have any gifts. This is going to be their Christmas. So we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kathy. Oh, wow. Good work. So, before we close, I did want to thank all the employees who donated to this BART toy drive. I know it's been a challenge during this pandemic to sort of reach normalcy. And to me, this is part of being normal and getting back to what we used to do and trying to ensure that everyone that's maybe not in the position we're in can celebrate and have a good holiday. So I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for you donating to these folks. I also want to thank my colleagues on the BART board and our other partners at Outfront Media who generously donated. Thank you very much for that. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the organizers of the Holiday Toy Drive, the Office of External Affairs, and the BART Police Department. Special shout outs, because I like to do those, go to Lieutenant Jason Scott from BART Police, Community Engagement Coordinator John Moreland and Harry Matthews, Community Service Officers Ray Ing, Mike Fong, and Kelly Wesley. Our mailroom staff at BART headquarters who managed all of the boxes that came in, and any of you who use Amazon know what your front porch might look like, and you can only imagine when you multiply that by BART's workforce what that looks like. And certainly the members of the Office of External Affairs, Yvonne Rusting, Aisha Brown, Ariel Mercado, Ricky Wells, Carrie Hillis, and Linton Johnson. Thank you to Solomon. Thank you to Alicia. Thank you to Kathy and everyone from the ECA organization for what you do and what you're going to be doing to help support this community. And I think, Solomon, you hit it right on the head. This is really the beginning of a relationship where we can start building those sort of bridges and really helping folks in East Contra Costa County. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for all that you do. And as one of my final duties as BART board president, I am honored and proud to turn over these new toys to ECA. So thank you all and have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you. All right. I appreciate everyone for this wonderful season. Thank you very much. All right. Let me shift gears here. And are there any additional special guests to introduce today? I don't believe so, but I thought I'd ask. All right. Actually, let's turn it over to some traditional business. Let's go to our consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move it.
Moved by Director Lee, seconded by Director Simon?
Or Saltzman, it doesn't matter. One of
the I'm sorry. All right. Is there any public comment? I do see a hand raised.
Nick Pilch, you may address the board.
Thank you very much. Good morning, BART board members, and thank you for taking my comments. This is Nick Pilch from Albany, and I sent you these comments as well via email earlier today. So I'll give you an abbreviated version of them now. Excuse me. I attended the meeting with the redistricting consultants last night and came away with some thoughts for you. I want to thank the BART board members who attended last night as well. Director Saltzman stated that she was already following up with staff based on some comments from last night, and I thank her for that. I have been following and attending and speaking at other redistricting efforts, federal, California State, Alameda County, Oakland, and these experiences inform my remarks to you. I believe you may want to reconsider or perhaps define or better define your process around redistricting. It is unlike the process I've seen anywhere else, and I'm not sure it will be as effective as you may want it to be. Redistricting is hard and time-consuming and wonky. You will have to have hard and time-consuming discussions and make hard decisions. You'll need plenty of time to do this. At the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, they started late, did not hold that many meetings, and ended up not changing that much, although they had a lot of public comment to integrate the Tri-Valley area. They put off doing live line drawing until the very end, then had a long meeting where they ended up with the final map. I urge you to look at what they did and see if you think that the outcome was good based on their process. In Oakland, they ended up scheduling almost twice as many meetings as they originally intended, then added even more and ended up with 2 marathon meetings that went past midnight, 7+ hours straight, starting at 5 p.m. I urge you to listen to the consultants about the best practice in the law. This is wonky stuff and they are the experts. In fact, I think part of your process should be BART board members having a Q&A with the consultants as soon as possible in order to understand the laws you have to follow and the best practices they will suggest you apply. As I understand it, you have to follow federal law, but state laws may not apply to you because you're not a city or a county. I urge you to use them anyway, as they aim to make redistricting fairer and more democratic. It's unclear what your process will be exactly. You have some public meetings scheduled, which is good, but agendas and supporting materials are not published ahead of time for those meetings. So far, I understand the meetings have just been Q&A sessions with the public. This is good, but I think you need to have meetings that include discussions of communities of interest that come from the public and live map viewing and live line drawing, incorporating those communities and interests and other public input. You have a subcommittee set up, but has no upcoming scheduled meetings. You should schedule all of these now, and I think you want to have the subcommittee present at every public meeting at least. It's not clear which full board meetings at which you will discuss redistricting. I think it has to be more than a couple. I'm running out of time, and I'll just say thank you for your time. There's an extra paragraph in the email remarks I sent to you, so I urge you to please look at that, and I will follow up with a few more comments right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pilch. Are there any additional public comments on the consent calendar?
There is not.
All right. Madam Secretary, could we have a vote?
Yes. Director Saltzman?
Yes.
Director Simon?
Yes.
Director Allen?
Yes.
Director Ames?
Yes.
Director Duffy?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director McPartlin?
Yes.
Director Rayburn?
Yay.
President Bowling?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Let's turn to item 6, public comment. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board of directors on matters that are under our jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. So again, if you'd like to address the board, please dial *9 now. And it looks as though we have at least one hand raised.
Ms. Alita Dupree, you may address the board.
Thank you again, Chair Mark Foley and members. Alita Dupree for the record. My pronouns are she and her. And I'm going to get down to business. To quote the words of Jerry Rafferty, I'm ready to get right down the line. I said that at the MTA board meeting yesterday, so I thought I'd share it with you. I did use BART over the weekend. It was fine. Used my reduced fare Clipper card. I've never had a Clipper card failure in all my 11 years of having a Clipper card. So it works. Can't say the same for paper tickets. Hence, I continue to work with agencies around the country. And I think we have a lot of good examples. Yesterday I was at the MTA board meeting on Zoom, and they're passed this new fare capping program and this new Penn Station access. But we have our Clipper and Clipper Start and hopefully open payments. And we have a 4-station project, kind of like Penn Access. We have BART to San Jose. So it's important to stay the course and build these type of projects because they are done with equity in mind. When people ask, well, what does equity look like? And I said, well, you're looking at me. I'm what equity looks like. So we must never forget the importance of practicing equity and welcome. And I'm still learning lots of things about BART, and I did get to see and converse with some of you in the last few days. I did send a letter to you. I hope you got it. I usually get acknowledgments, but I didn't hear anything. So I hope you got the letter from me that I sent a few days ago that you can enjoy. But we are getting in there. And I continue my engagement with you. I assure you that my engagement with you is never adversarial, but is collaborative in nature, because I think that we all share the idea of wanting to build the safest and most reliable and most affordable railroad that we can. I stand for the idea of building a railroad that is great and legendary. Because when I ride BART, I was thinking, well, I got BART and I enjoy BART, but I also look forward to going and riding subway trains in New York and seeing Grand Central Terminal. But when I got off the plane in Oakland and I made my way over to Coliseum Station, got on the platform to prepare to take BART further in Oakland, one thing came in mind to me, and I said it to myself. I knew that BART is indeed the people's system, and I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dupree.
Rhiannon Doyle, you may address the board.
Good morning, BART board. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Rhiannon Doyle. I'm a CSO with BART Police of 14 and a half years. I'm sure you remember me from the last 2 board meetings. If you don't, I'm the one that complained of harassment and discrimination in regards to my vaccination status and religious exemption. It turns out that my OCR complaint was dismissed and they couldn't find anything. Conveniently, the day after I spoke at the last board meeting and the same day that my harasser called me. I was denied, as were many others, including 2 ordained ministers. Now, my question is, how do you deny 2 ministers? You didn't even give them a chance to make it to the next step. Who's the person that is making these decisions? And I hope it's not the same person that harassed me. It was brought to my attention that the same person has a picture of a Holy Bible with a sticker on it that openly mocks our religion. This picture is on his Facebook page. I'd have to say that's conflict of interest. I pray for those who are still waiting to have their religious exemption actually accommodated. My last day is Monday, the day of my Skelly hearing here at Lake Merritt. In the meantime, I will give those without a voice a chance to say something. Based on the number from the VAERS system dated December 3rd, 2021, 950,000 COVID vaccine cases have been reported. There have been 20,000 deaths and 33,000 permanently disabled because of the vaccines. As we've seen on TV, there are multiple healthy athletes who have collapsed in the field while playing games. No one wants these unfortunate events to happen, but they are. Which one of you board members will personally be held accountable for any injuries or deaths that may come from these vaccine mandates and false mandates? Did you know that Dr. Fauci has been under investigation? Have any of you paid attention to the Texas Senate hearings? Did you know the Wuhan Institute of Virology partners with EcoHealth Alliance? Well, EcoHealth Alliance partners with many organizations, including CDC and NIH and World Health Organization. Did you know that every foundation has a tax form called 990 that shows all donations incoming and outgoing? In 2018, EcoHealth Alliance received funding from Johnson & Johnson as well as our own government. Did you know that the president of EcoHealth Alliance is also under investigation? Dr. Fauci and his wife both work for NIH. If you've been paying attention to any of these, there is conflict of interest. I don't understand why BART would push this vaccine on their workers while there are too many unknowns, especially knowing conflict of interest between China and the organizations that run our healthcare systems and certain government officials. Corruption's anywhere and can happen at any time. Please read Psalm 1, verse 1 through 6.
Thank you, Ms. Doyle. Is there any additional public comment, Madam Secretary?
Not at this time.
All right. Well, as we have no committee items today, let's turn it to the General Manager's report, item 10. GM, are you available?
I am available, President Foley, Vice President Saltzman. Just a quick, I know Alaric keeps the board updated on where we are as far as vaccinations, and but just a quick update to the board. As of today, we're at 94% vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and an additional 1% have received their first dose. Labor Relations continues to work with the HR teams and our labor partners to communicate next steps and to understand the operational impacts that we may be looking at. So between Michael and Sylvia, Shane, we've got a pretty good handle on that. And then Monday, just a few days back, we held a very successful on-site booster shot clinic at BHQ. And we administered just under 100 to 100 individuals their booster shots. So just a brief update from me there. Back to you, President Foley.
Thank you, GM. It looks like we might have a public comment on this agenda item. Madam Secretary.
Ms. Alita Dupree, you may address the board.
Thank you again, President Mark Foley. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her. Very, very good report. I'm in alignment on this. And I think of this example as very similar to when the MTA in New York was offering vaccinations in Grand Central Terminal. And of course, I mentioned to you that I got my booster shot in a supermarket pharmacy, I think it was about a week and a half ago. And I even got a new vaccine card made up. So this is excellent work because, as I keep saying, I want the safest, most reliable, and most equitable BART that we can. And I've been flying on airplanes. You know that I'm afraid of flying on airplanes sometimes, but I'm getting better. And sitting in an airplane with about 180 people in a narrow body 737 with masks on, I continue to emphasize the importance to you of the wearing of masks and of these vaccinations. I'm still here sitting before you. So again, I always enjoy the reports of Bob Powers. And again, I do emphasize the importance that my letters are being public record, or not just to be shared with you as a board, but with Bob Powers and the team as well. And I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dupree. It looks like we have another public commenter.
Caller, you can address the board.
This is the open comment still, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Scott. I work for BART for a little while longer, hopefully. I just wanted to call and talk about some of the new stuff that's going on, with Cal OSHA's coming out, and they're saying that there's not going to be anything between unvaccinated and vaccinated. They're both going to be treated the same now, and they're both going to have the same rules. If they get sick, they've got to go home. They've got to take 14 days off. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I also wanted to talk about the Omicron, which just came in. The first 4 cases in South Africa, all vaccinated. First one in San Francisco, vaccinated. There's been 43 cases as of December 10th. And of those 43 cases, 34 of them are vaccinated and 14 are triple vaccinated. So, the CDC has come out and they said, well, many of the first reported Omicron cases appear to be mild. A lag exists between infection and more severe outcomes. Symptoms would also be expected to be milder in vaccinated persons and those with previous SARS-CoV-2 infection. So I don't understand why you guys are refusing to listen to the science about the natural immunity, and you're just trying to lump everybody together and shoot them down the road. So we also got an article from the CDC after the Freedom of Information Act, which the CDC cannot provide any documented evidence of natural immunity individuals spreading COVID-19. Something that we've been talking about, but yet you guys still refuse to hear anything about natural immunity. So then I also talked to you guys about the Nuremberg Code. So on December 5th, a federal district court judge has rejected a claim by the U.S. Department of Defense that the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine being administered under emergency use authorization is interchangeable with Pfizer's Comirnaty vaccine, which in August was fully licensed by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. However, the judge's acknowledgement that the DoD cannot mandate vaccines that only have an EUA is significant for 2 reasons. One reason pertains to the difference in ingredients and manufacturing processes between Pfizer's EUA vaccine and the approved Comirnaty vaccine, and the other pertains to the legal difference between a fully licensed vaccine and an EUA vaccine. Under the law, everyone has the right to refuse EUA product. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
That was
Madam Secretary. I'm sorry.
That was the last speaker.
Thank you. Colleagues, any questions or comments for the general manager under the GM's report? If not, we can move on to board matters. This is where we'll now take up board member reports, roll call for introduction, and in memoriams. Do any board members have things to introduce here? And I see Director Rayburn. Oh, actually, Director Simon, let me go to you first if I could, and then Director Rayburn.
Thank you so much. I will not talk about my own activities. Actually, I would like to
And I know that Carl is somewhere around. And we want to take a little bit of time today, and I'm sure there may be other board comments, to acknowledge the very tragic passing of one of our own, Jamal Thompson, the manager of engineering programs. And he passed away much too soon on December 5th. But I want to hand it over to Carl and his team. They worked very closely together. Mr. Thompson was a brilliant man and a beautiful addition to our team only a few years ago, but was very close to members of his team and the BART family. So Carl, if you would say a few words, and then I have some prepared remarks at the request of the Thompson family to share with you all today in honoring just such a great servant leader. Carl?
Yes, thank you, Director Simon. Carl Holmes, AGM, Design and Construction. I want to start by saying that Jamal was loved by a lot of us here in the BART family. I hired him into the BART family, and so I took great pride as an African-American male to be able to recruit and bring on someone of his caliber, and also served as a mentor to him after I moved from maintenance and engineering into PD&C, and worked with Sylvia Lamb in regards to making sure that I wasn't poaching him away from Sylvia, but truly serving as a mentor to navigate not only BART, but also other aspects of life. And so there are some points that Sylvia had put together that I can read. I'm assuming that this is the same that you may have, Director Simon. But I just wanted to share that he will certainly be missed by not only me, but I know Sylvia and others. And so I'll hand it back to you, Director Simon.
Carl, I think it's appropriate if you would like to read those words that were prepared by staff. I can add to them, but I think that we all know when you manage a team and someone from that team leaves us too early, it is devastating for the team. And it is a very difficult thing as a leader to hold up morale and spirit and remembrance of your fellow teammate. And so I would actually love to hand it back to you and for you to read some of the beautiful words about Mr. Thompson's life. And then I will conclude and go back to our chair and ask if any other board members would like to say anything. I'm sure we all speak in one voice, so it's not required, but Carl, please.
Certainly. So Jamal Thompson, the BART family is mourning the loss of a very special member of our team. Jamal Thompson, manager of engineering programs, passed away much too soon on Sunday, December 5th of this year. Academically talented with both a Master's of Engineering and Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering degree from Howard University, which is one of the most popular HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. Jamal joined BART in September of 2017 as a project manager. Initially, he engaged in maintenance-facing projects within train control and traction power. Their pain points were a puzzle he was determined to solve with data analytics to translate field issues into component performance trends. A true communicator, it comes as no surprise, Jamal's most recognizable contribution came after his promotion to manager of engineering programs, where he took over the role of the RR program manager. Measure RR is a $3.5 billion program with over 150 projects to modernize and improve the reliability of the BART system. Jamal was the point person who coordinated with our project teams to gather, validate, publish, and present RR project status at the quarterly RR Oversight Committee meetings. His knowledge of project management and project controls, along with his understanding of the projects themselves, and his ability to express technical material with clarity and simplicity was foundational to the success of the RR program. Additionally, Jamal took personal responsibility for leading the development and implementation of the primary project controls. which were tools used by BART project teams to track progress daily or today. He took rudimentary spreadsheets, added his own vision, engaged a team, and elevated them into an innovative and comprehensive monitoring and reporting framework. To use terminology he might have, he took our processes from an AMC Pacer to a Maserati. At work, he was passionate about planning, sustainability, process improvement, and mentoring. Jamal was that rare individual who seemed to create balance in his life. He frequently expressed his love for his family and put his family first, even moving to the Bay Area from Minnesota in order to be closer to them. He was a beacon of light to his family, coworkers, friends, and the community. He was an avid volunteer who supported multiple organizations, including riding with the California Coast Classic Bike Tour Group, supporting the Arthritis Foundation in honor of his father, and as a member of the Coalition of Black Excellence and helping students at Dublin High School. He was generous with his time and his smile and provided a listening ear to any who needed it. Jamal's laugh was genuine and warm. He was kind, patient, friendly, and simply a good human being. The plaque which sat on Jamal's desk read, "Make your own path and leave a trail." The trail he left here at BART was one of kindness, patience, and sincere caring. Most of all, Jamal was loved and will be remembered fondly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. And, during the holidays, of course, we have a very mighty team of engineers, of folks in the yards, of folks who are moving our trains, to our administrators. And we've had a lot of loss this year. And to acknowledge Mr. Thompson's life continuously and to acknowledge to his family that his service to BART and that huge smile of his will never be forgotten. And the work that he did for BART has been essential to our being able to keep moving during these very difficult times. And so we extend our deep condolences to the BART team, the staff team, and on behalf of the board of directors, we just express our sincere grief and love. I have one more in memoriam, but before I do that, if Chair, or President Foley, if there's anyone else who would like to say anything about our dear departed employee, I wanted to give that time before my next in memoriam.
Robert, Director Aber.
Yeah, thank you very much, Latifa and Carl, for your kind words. And Jamal definitely will be missed in the bicycling community, where in 2019, he joined a coast ride, as Carl mentioned, in support of the Rheumatoid Arthritis Foundation. And that's because his father suffered from rheumatoid arthritis. The man had a tremendously big heart. And I heard from friends right away that he was training with them on a regular basis. In fact, he was out training to go on the next year's ride. So I want to express my sincere condolences and thank everyone who's made comments before me. I feel that we've suffered a great loss.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
My next in memoriam, and it will be brief, but as impactful, I'm hoping. In the district that I represent in San Francisco, District 10, just this week, we as a community lost an amazing social worker, advocate, and organizer for women and children living in public housing. At the age of 40, Jairus Woodson Pope was senselessly murdered in front of her house. She was the mother of 5 children, and she was pregnant at the time. While the police and the community are struggling to understand why, we understand that Jairus committed her life to the betterment of conditions for low-income folks. She was committed to ensuring that the folks in the Potrero Hill housing development had access, to public transportation, to jobs, and to childcare. As this community reels, the BART family, I know, can extend also in one voice that we need and love our community members who are trying to make our communities safer. And for Jairus to have succumbed in this way, we are deeply saddened. And I ask the board to extend memoriam and that we also adjourn this meeting in the memory of Jairus Woodson Pope, age of 40. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind and inspiring words, Latifa. I appreciate it. Director Rayburn, and then Director Allen, and then Director Dufty.
Thank you, President Foley, and it truly has been a pleasure seeing President Foley for the past year. My report is very brief. I attended the Oakland Structures meeting about development in Oakland with Aisha and Brown. I also want to acknowledge the good work of our Assistant General Manager of Technology, Ravi Misra. And at the conclusion of our last board meeting on December 2nd, I reflected on customer comments that noted we had outages of cellular service throughout the district, particularly in the tunnels. I had experienced it myself, and I asked for a report on our cellular coverage, and we received it promptly from Ravi. And not only was the report done to evaluate the issue, but the problem was corrected. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Director Rayburn. Director Allen.
Thank you, President Foley. I think I'm going to have said that for the last time, unfortunately, President Foley. So first, I want to just report out on the audit committee meeting, which occurred on Tuesday, the 14th. Two primary topics on that meeting: discussion of the unfunded pension liabilities for BART's CalPERS pension plans. That discussion was led by a presentation from Mark Jaffe of the Reason Foundation. We also received a report from our Inspector General regarding her current budget for her office and some proposals and projections for what she is hoping we can fund the office with in the future. The committee advanced a recommendation to this board to add an initiative to the 2022 BART federal and state advocacy goals to seek additional funding sources for the Office of the Inspector General. That's important that we put that on those goals, by the way, because it then allows us BART staff to actually work on those things. So I've been very busy. I don't know why so many things came up in the last 2 weeks, but I've attended a couple of the changing of the mayors in the cities in my district, Walnut Creek and Danville. I spoke to a Kiwanis group about BART, spoke to the Walnut Creek Chamber staff and new executive director. And then last night was our Contra Costa Transportation Authority meeting. I also attended the Contra Costa Hispanic Chamber of Commerce holiday event at the end of the year. So that was my activity. I do have actually 3 RCIs that I would like to present. The first one is to place on the board agenda no later than January of 2022 for consideration, discussion, and action, the amendment of the federal and state advocacy goals to add the following: seek new increases in funding for the expansion of the budget for the Office of BART Inspector General to a level appropriate for the office to expand its work. We heard a presentation at the audit committee from the IG. I would expect for this board to make a decision on this and vote on it, that we should probably hear a presentation at the board level sometime in January. There is urgency to this. because there's a very small window of opportunity for agencies like MTC and perhaps others, and for BART, if we so choose, to add additional funding to our budgets for the fiscal year 23 year. So it's a long process, and I'm hopeful we can just get this at least put on the goals by January.
Director Allen,
Yes.
if I could just jump in and ask, is there support for this RCI?
I'll second that.
I can support that too.
Okay, thank you. You may continue, Director Allen. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for asking that. The second RCI I have is to place on the board agenda for consideration, discussion, and action by no later than February of 22, an initiative to require BART to publish on its website or Legistar, which is linked to the website, all Zoom meeting recordings of the Audit Committee, the BART Police Citizen Review Board meetings, and the Redistricting Committee meetings.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have a third?
Yes, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't need to say any more. Then the third RCI I have is to place on the board agenda in by February of 22 for consideration, discussion, and action, the exploration and analysis of increasing the annual contribution to the Section 115 Trust to address the continuously increasing amounts of unfunded pension liabilities. We did have a presentation at the Audit Committee, as I said, this week to start that discussion. I'm hopeful the Audit Committee will hear the actuary in January at that January meeting for some further discussion. But really, here's the bottom line. We passed a few years ago the $10 million per year being put into the Section 115 Trust. It's not even close to keeping pace with the increases every year we are seeing in the unfunded pension liabilities. I'm not talking about addressing what exists now. I'm talking about stopping the increases going forward. And that's I think it's a board discussion that needs to be had by February. Maybe it could be at the workshop or at the later February meeting. But that is my hope, that we have that discussion so we can actually include that in our budgeting for the fiscal year 23. Thank you. And I wish you all happy holidays to all of my colleagues here.
Is there support for that RCI, the third RCI? Yes.
I'll support that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Director Allen.
Can I just ask a question of staff? Is the February timeline realistic for us to have the full presentation and everything with all the details? I know it's coming to the Audit Committee in January, but I just want to ensure, since we're going to only have one regular board meeting.
President or Chairperson, President Foley, Rebecca, Vice President, I don't think that February might be a little bit aggressive. The first board meeting in February is I'm targeting for the workshop there. So, Director Allen, that may be a March timeline or an April timeline there. But that's for the the incoming board president and me to kind of map out. But with that first board meeting in February going to the workshop, I'm not so sure we can map that out and bring the data sets back and have an accurate discussion with the board on that.
So I'm happy to amend my RCI to make that March, if that makes it easier. But in the past at our workshops, we have actually had presentations from the actuary. So, we can do it at the committee level in January, but I don't think it's unreasonable to have the actuary at the board workshop. That seems to be where we do those more in-depth things. But happy to change it to March.
Thank you. Director Dufty, then Ames, then Vice President Saltzman, then Director Simon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm submitting on behalf of Directors Janice Lee and Latifah Simon and in memoriam for Justice Harry Lowe. Justice Lowe passed on December 9th at the age of 90, and he was San Francisco's first Asian Pacific Islander judge who paved the way for future generations of lawyers and judges. He grew up mid-state, but came to the Bay Area to go to Cal and met his wonderful wife, Mei Ling. They were married for 69 years between his undergraduate and law school career. And then in 1966, he was appointed a municipal judge by Governor Pat Brown, and then promoted to the Superior Court, and then went on to become the judge at the First District Court of Appeals, and was appointed by Governor Davis, as an insurance commissioner, and obviously was a trailblazer in all of these appointments. I came to know Judge Lowe and his family because he lived in the supervisorial district as well as the BART district that I represent. And it's important to remember that when he was looking in the 60s to purchase a home with his wife and family in Diamond Heights, it took 2 years to find a homeowner that would sell to him because of discrimination against Chinese Americans in San Francisco. I just want to say that Judge Lowe was then involved in a number of different commissions at the city and was just a delightful and impactful and an individual with great integrity and accomplishment. And so I want to also extend sorrow to his children, his daughter Kathy, and his sons Larry and Alan. And Alan is very civically involved in San Francisco, and very much they are carrying forward his torch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Director Ames?
Thank you. So I just wanted to thank BART staff, the public affairs group. I attended this Afghan Resource Fair last Friday, and the BART materials were translated into the Afghan language, Dari and Pashto. And this was kind of a last minute event that we were invited to, but BART pulled it off and very prepared with the materials. Also, I attended the Hayward Chamber of Commerce Black Business Roundtable. And also we had the redistricting meeting last night. And I appreciate the speaker, Nick, who called in, because we do need to define the process a little bit more. We didn't show that the board meetings were going to be interspersed with the community meetings. I guess, I didn't see the agenda posted or the presentation posted on the website. So I appreciate those comments that happened at the other meeting before we had the one last night. And most importantly, I really appreciate Director Allen's RCI, because we found out earlier, I think it was a December 1st meeting. I can't recall the date of the meeting, but anyway, we didn't have a Zoom meeting so people could see the actual maps being discussed.
Right.
And so that was really an eye opener, that the other committees didn't have Zoom meetings and could not see what was happening. I didn't see the presentations until the next day. So I'm really happy to see this come out of the redistricting, that we can do the Zoom meetings for these committee meetings are very important. It's more transparent. So I'd like to see a little more organization on the website. We can talk offline about this for the redistricting, but it would be great to just try to get a video of how to use these amazing computerized tools, the computerized tools to really define your district. You can define your own district. You can define your interests, these interests of each community that think that they should be part of a separate group, but then also included in each individual district, if that makes sense. Community of interest is kind of a common term that they use, but it would be great to see a video tutorial on the website. So, and the last item, and by the way, the community meeting went really well. We got great feedback. So great job to the staff to make this happen, and the consultant with the consultant's help. And then I attended a Union City Council meeting to talk about the infamous Quarry Lakes Parkway and trying to get the funding redirected towards Dakota Road. Ironically, the city got a Safe Routes to School grant for Dakota Road for like $200,000, which apparently there have been complaints about pedestrians and conflicts with motorists. So I really want to enforce that our communities are being motorized, and we have to stop these pedestrian conflicts, cyclist conflicts with cars, and tried our best to minimize these kind of expressways near BART stations and really focus on, true transit-oriented, pedestrian, bike-friendly communities. So thank you, happy holidays, and I appreciate all of the work, President Foley, you've done to navigate this year, this very difficult year. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Salt.
Thank you. Just reporting on a few things I've done in the last couple of weeks. One, Director Simon and I attended and spoke at the final Berkeley Community Advisory Group meeting on the topic of development at Ashby and North Berkeley BART. The volunteers on this committee dedicated 18 months and I don't know how many hundreds of hours to the work and put in some amazing work. So we appreciated them at the meeting and looked forward to the next steps as the city moves to zoning, which will happen this coming year. I gave a presentation to the El Cerrito Chamber of Commerce, just our overall BART presentation. And I attended, along with Director Rayburn, the celebration of life for Alameda County Supervisor Wilma Chan. It was a really incredible event. If you're interested, I actually highly recommend the video from it, because the speeches from her family, her colleagues on the board, advocates she'd worked with over the years, it was just incredible to hear the stories about her, not just the huge progress she made on policy, but also the type of person she was and how she welcomed people in and would fight tenaciously for the things she believed in. So I was really glad to get the opportunity to be at that event. Finally, I also attended the redistricting outreach meeting last night. I was glad to see some engaged folks there that gave some really substantive comments. And there were some concerns brought up that, former council member Nick Pilch brought up today, and that Director Ames raised about how we sort of jumped into the process with the committee, but never brought anything to the board and laid out how this would go. And so it left our consultants in an awkward position when they got asked the question, does the board have to follow what you put forward? And they said, no, they could throw out what we do. And I think that raised some alarms for people. So I'm not going to put forward an RCI today, but I do plan to come back in January, and I'm working on some language for a resolution, just stating some kind of overall goals and that this will be a fair process, just so the public feels more at ease that we're not going to just throw out the work of our really expert consultants and that we're going to rely upon them and move forward with what they give us. We might make some small alterations, but I do want to give some confidence that this isn't going to be some backroom deal like what used to happen with the California legislature, and it currently happens with many legislatures around the country. So I will be bringing that forward in January just to set the public at ease, although I have confidence that this board wouldn't do that even if we didn't pass a resolution, but I think it's important because it's come into question.
Thank you. Director Simon, did you want to chime in for a moment, and then I'll go to Director Lee?
Just a quick moment. I failed to mention that the Rod Lee's department was amazing in prepping me and supporting me speaking with the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and other members of the transportation community. I want to thank Bevan for coming out very early on Saturday morning, last Saturday morning. And it was a full-fledged press conference inside of the Salesforce Transbay terminal, and it was in celebration of the bipartisan infrastructure law, which we hope, along with our transportation partners within the region, will give us the opportunity to compete and hopefully win a lot of resources to expand the Bay Area's infrastructure. We are so thankful to the Speaker for directly inviting BART to be a part of that press conference and celebration. The other members from the high-speed rail and of course the Transbay Terminal, members of our labor community, and Caltrains and others were also there. And again, I feel just extremely honored to have been asked directly by the Speaker's office to represent BART and carried, hopefully, all the brilliance of staff and board. I'm sure I didn't measure up, but I think we did represent very, very well. And thank you for Rod's team for both attending and prepping us to make sure that we are part of the conversation. The fact that the speaker sees BART as the critical infrastructure to getting San Francisco and the Bay Area back on its feet is I believe going to do us well as we compete for dollars with our other transportation partners. So thank you so much, team.
Thank you, Director Simon. You hit a grand slam on Saturday, by the way, so phenomenal job. Director Lee.
Yep. Thank you, Director Simon. I would echo that. I have a few things, actually starting with the same thank you to Rod's team and especially Amanda Cruz for helping prep me for a bunch of meetings I had in DC. Had a great meeting, had a chance to get before Senator Padilla. Unfortunately, Congress member Spear canceled given the CR, but I did also have a great chat with Speaker Pelosi's Chief of Staff, and just want to thank Amanda and her team and our great federal advocates for setting those meetings up. I also want to give a lot of thanks to Carl Holmes, Tim Chan, and especially Wahid Amiri and Mark Dana from respective teams for taking Director Dufty and I on a bit of a tour of Powell to see the state of the modernization that should be wrapping up next summer. But you know, there's going to be improvements in phases. We got to see the bathrooms. I know others have checked out, but we've also got to see the amazing new offices that are being built out there. I think is going to really improve the safety of that station. I know that we also have BART PD offices there as well. I think this is going to be great for employees. And then we also got to see, you know, where the art's going to be coming in, and also the increased railings that are going to look great. It's this really, really durable glass. And so I'm just so excited for when that modernization is complete, and, you know, props to staff. I also want to give a lot, it's been an entire team effort. I'll start, you know, with thanking Alaric, but I appreciate all the updates we are getting around vaccination numbers. I just want to point out, we are now, I want to say 93% of BART employees are vaccinated, which is, you know, 15%, I think, increase of where we were just a couple months ago. And I know that it's been all hands on deck. So thank you to all of our BART employees for getting there. Lastly, happy holidays. You know, it's been yet another crazy pandemic year. We made it through together. Good work all, and particularly thank you to you, President Foley, for taking us through 2021 and, you know, chairing what sometimes are very lengthy and difficult meetings. But really, thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Lee. I appreciate that. Director Rayburn.
Thank you for allowing me to jump back in. I want to thank Director Simon for when Speaker Pelosi passed the gavel to Director Simon. She truly did light up the room. It was a tremendous presentation, and it was from the heart. I also want to thank Director Ames for your attendance at the Afghan Resource Fair. And I want to add on to that I want to thank Assistant General Manager Rod Lee and many of his staff, including Alicia Trost, Karen Basting, Michelle Palin Mendiola, and Carrie Hillis for your work in translating the Afghan into Pashto and Dari, the materials about BART. My heart goes out to the Afghan immigrants to the Bay Area, particularly around Fremont and the Centerville area, for the suffering that they have gone through and the suffering that their entire country is going through with an ongoing famine today. And I'm so proud that we are welcoming this new immigrant community into the Bay Area with open arms. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Director Rayburn. All right. Well, we now turn to my final order of business as president of the BART board, which is our election of officers. But before I ask the district secretary to begin that process, I did want to take a moment to just sort of talk a bit about my presidency this last year. Staff, as always, has done a great job of providing me with some talking points, and I will use them, but I'm not going to go into the super level of detail, just in the interest of time and in the holidays. So with that, I just want to say, first off, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve as board president for this past year. And to my colleagues, thank you for putting your faith in me. I appreciate that. Second year in, and you allowed me this great chance. So thank you for that, truly. 2021, it was the first year that we spent living in the entire midst of a pandemic. Despite those challenges, we accomplished a lot of great things together this year. It was an extraordinary year of collaboration with our union partners when it came to ensuring the workforce was safe in the face of COVID, to expanding service for our customers. Our dedicated, resourceful union leaders and their members have been with us every step of the way. So I want to say thank you for that. Probably one of the most important things that I am proud of this year was trying to sort of return to normalcy with the ridership. And that really starts with our return to midnight closings 6 days a week. That was key to sort of bringing us back. Not only did BART return to near pre-pandemic levels of service Monday through Friday, we did it a month early, working with our labor partners. We were able to accelerate that. We also were able to provide additional special service for events around the Bay. So we were trying to be as responsive as we could be. And I think again, we hit a grand slam. Service extended right around the same time that the All Aboard Bay Area Transit campaign was kicking in. And as a result of that Blue Ribbon Transit Recovery Task Force, BART and our transit partners throughout the region really encouraged travelers to hop back on public transit. So I think we're starting that process of welcoming back our riders. And those riders that have returned, hopefully are seeing a safer BART, right? We have MERV 14 air filtration, right? That's hospital grade filtration on our trains. Touchless payments. You can make your fare payments or your parking payments. And we're 100% Clipper, right? And that's a pretty amazing thing. We launched and funded our groundbreaking Progressive Policing Bureau. Those folks that are trained professionals that handle a wide range of issues. Those efforts really to increase safety, visibility in our system is paying off. We've seen a 40% drop in violent crime this year and a 25% drop in crime overall. So it really, as ridership is increasing, we are trying to make those moves to make it as safe a travel as possible. It does bear mentioning as well that we brought on board our first ever senior manager of social service partnerships to really allow someone to take a concentrated, coordinated approach to addressing homelessness. And of course, this past year, we've made some improvements and investments to our system, rebuilding efforts, if you will. The first, we have our newly rebuilt escalators are in service. We've got our first one rolling. El Cerrito del Norte is now bright and modern. We've got that project out there, and investments in track and cable infrastructure. For those that are playing along at home, 7.5 miles of track, 2 major interlocking projects, and 66 miles of power cables. We did a lot of work during the time that we were really down, if you will, from pandemic. And that's phenomenal. It just shows the kind of effort that our folks bring to the table. But there's more. We also continued our work towards our Link 21 program to really transform Northern California's rail network, really bringing together all our partners with an eye on equity and how to best serve this mega region as the ever-growing suburbs are reaching further and further inland. Certainly also worth noting, finalizing our regional fare coordination and integration study with proposals that make transit easier and more affordable, keys to our success and the lifeblood of what transit's about. We brought art and culture into our stations to help welcome back riders. For the first time in our history, our electric power supply was certified as 100% greenhouse gas free. And this year we brought 2 projects online that deliver renewable energy at BART. Phenomenal work to have out there. Our transit-oriented development programs. Despite the pandemic, we have new homes at Pleasant Hill and MacArthur that are leasing. Millbrae and Walnut Creek construction stayed on track for this next year completion, hopefully mid-2022. And certainly projects like Lake Merritt and West Dublin were entitled. So those are starting their process and rolling along. If not for the passion and leadership of past President Lateefah Simon, we launched our Not One More Girl campaign. And we really were trying to make significant changes in the way public transit address sexual harassment. We changed our code of conduct policy to send a clear message that behavior and gender-based violence has no place on BART. Thank you, Lateefah, for your leadership. We also made progress on improving the reliability of our new trains and working closely with our new train manufacturer. Certainly these will pay dividends in the decades to come. We're almost there, folks. And at the close, and certainly close to my heart, we've improved the rider experience out in Antioch. We did the right thing. We added full-time station agents during all service hours. We expanded parking while improving the bike and pedestrian access out in that location. And a huge thank you to the Contra Costa Transportation Authority for their support and helping make this happen. If not for this funding, we wouldn't be where we were today. So thank you, CCTA. Oh, and by the way, we moved into a new headquarters during the pandemic. We saved hopefully around $210 million in public funds over the next 25 years by moving into our own headquarters that we now own and operate. We did it on time. We avoided extra costs. Carl, you, Amelia, and your staff did a great job of getting us into this new location. Thank you for all of your hard work. District Secretary Jackie, thank you for getting us there. Thank you for getting us ready for next year when we return to in-person meetings. So we did all this in contracting out $73 million to a diverse group of small minority women-owned businesses that help us achieve all of these goals. So we always kept our eye on how can we do this in the best way and how can we really affect community. So I thank you for that. To Maceo and your group, thank you for ensuring that is the course that we follow. And as we look back at 2021, let's remember all these positives and ready ourselves for the challenges for our next president in 2022. 2 things to close with. First off, thank you all for running the best damn transit agency in America. I love you. You do a great job. Thank you for everything you bring to the workplace every day. And finally, the biggest thank you goes to my family. Without the love and support of my wife, Cindy, my daughters, Madison and Maya, I couldn't have been successful this year. And so to you, I love you. And I want to say thank you to everyone on the board and thank you for everyone at BART. It's been a great ride this year. And hey, I'm ready for the next challenge. Thank you.
Job well done, Chair, and give us that sweater.
Yes, here we go. We got the a little BART love here today. Here we go. All right. And with that, Madam Secretary. Oh,
President Foley couldn't be here, so I'm accepting this on his behalf.
Thank you.
And I'll deliver this to you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Jackie. All right. And with that, my last official duty, I will turn it over to you for election of officers, please.
So at this time, we will now open up the nominations for board president. Actually, before we do that, we have a hand raised, and I believe we have a public commenter that has a comment about the outgoing president. Alita?
Thank you very much, Jackie. Alita Dupree for the record, she and her. And I'm going to speak of presidential and vice presidential matters condensed. And I'm just seeing a face here, so a clock would be helpful.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure you've probably seen this in my letter. I'm not favoring or disfavoring any of you. And some of you have served as president of this organization before. So there is certainly among all of you, there is experience. What I am looking for in a president and vice president, as always, is the importance of leadership. But yet I emphasize to you not to think of it as being the leaders of what some might call the most powerful board in the Bay Area or even in the state. But I'd like to see an aspiration toward leading this board to be the most service-oriented board. I ask that you think of the importance of people. You know, I think of myself as a person who does not particularly fit this definitions. I don't see myself as a misunderstood minority, but simply as one who is reflective of the diversity of the world. I ask that you, in serving this agency in a leadership position, consider the importance of the diversity of people of Bay Area soil, to uphold the hallmarks of practicing equity and welcome. There are many, many transit systems in the world. There are very, very few that have reached the level of being great and legendary, such as the London Underground or the New York City Subway or Grand Central Terminal. But I do believe in a BART that can be great and legendary and steeped in tradition and mindful of history. I ask as you remember this, be the leaders of the people's system, and I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dupree. Madam Secretary?
There you go. We were debating on the view that we wanted the public to see. There you go. Okay, so I have Director Lee, your hand is raised.
I would love to nominate our current Vice President, Rebecca Salzman, for the position of President. I think that, you know, she's provided so much leadership during this time. She's someone we know who puts in the work. I think that we've seen how much she and Director Simon, I'll give props to you too, Director Simon, have stepped up and attended countless number of community meetings in their own districts, but, you know, the special amount of care that Vice President Salzman has put in over the many years into the entire district, attends every meeting, takes every briefing with staff, and is always on top of every issue. I think we'd be lucky to have her as our president.
Happy to second.
Seconded by Director Simon. Do I have someone that would like to close nominations, or are there any additional nominations?
I'd move to close nominations.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move towards the vote. Director Saltzman?
Yes.
Director Simon?
Yes.
Director Allen?
Yes.
Director Ames?
Yes.
Director Duffy?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director McPartland?
Yes.
Director Rayburn?
Yay.
President Foley?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a new president, President Rebecca Saltzman. Passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. And I have a few words to say before we move on to electing a new vice president. First, I wanted to join the chorus and thank our now former president, Mark Foley, who I'm guessing will go out and celebrate with his family, who we'll get to spend much more time with. He's done a fantastic job in just such a difficult year. I feel for you and Director Simon, who had to lead us through probably our two most difficult years ever. So thank you for your leadership. Of course, we're not out of this yet, and 2022 is going to be another pivotal year for BART. The federal emergency funding will allow us to keep the trains running and focus on improving service. And I'm thrilled that our February schedule change will represent a tremendous investment in Sunday service, the one day that's been a little neglected in our service increase. We're going to return to a midnight closure, which is essential for helping frontline workers and service industry workers, and people have been asking for it. And for the first time in BART history, BART will run 5-line service on Sundays, which means they'll be running more trains on several lines. It's great. We need to get more and more to the point where our weekend service gets closer to our weekday service, as that has been our greatest area of growth. Some other exciting things coming up in the year ahead are we're going to start to reopen all of the underground BART restrooms, starting with Powell and 19th Street stations. We're going to follow through on the work of Fare Integration Task Force, which includes next year a pilot of an all-agency Go Anywhere transit pass for institutions like colleges and universities. But also we'll take some steps to get us to what we need to do in 2023 to go much further than that. We're going to update our system expansion policy to take a more holistic approach to system development, including infill stations. We're going to develop an equity framework for the district, which I know so much work has happened at the staff level to get us to this point. We're going to complete the process of deploying new crisis intervention teams as part of the BART Police Department Bureau of Progressive Policing, and I think get us even further towards a fair police department that everyone in the Bay Area wants to trust and feel safe with in BART. We're going to advance transit-oriented development throughout the BART system to get us closer to meeting our ambitious goal of building 20,000 housing units at BART by 2040. And I'm excited that there are a few projects moving forward in my district, El Cerrito Plaza, North Berkeley BART, adjacent to my district at Ashby. And the next station we're going to start planning next year is Rockridge. So I'm excited about that. We're going to tackle the Bay Area's affordable housing crisis, not just what we do at BART, but how we can work with our partners across the region. And we're going to do this in step with the incoming State Assembly Housing Chair, Buffy Wicks, who is my assembly member and has been a great ally to BART. And we're going to continue to find new ways to encourage ridership growth and provide clean, safe, and reliable service. As president, I'm going to be bringing back evening BART board meetings to increase public access to these meetings. And I'm proposing 2 meetings at BART stations, similar to those we held at Powell and Warm Springs in 2017. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. And finally, 2022 is a very exciting year. BART will celebrate 50 years of service. And so it's going to be an honor and a privilege to lead this board during our 50th year. And I look forward to celebrating with all of you, the whole BART family, and the entire public throughout the year, and looking forward to some of the exciting things that our staff will propose for that. Thank you.
Director Dufty.
Are we opening nominations for Vice President?
We are now opening nominations for Vice President.
Thank you, Madam District Secretary. It's my honor to nominate Director Janice Lee for Vice President. We've had the opportunity to work with Director Lee over the past 3 years, and I think that she has brought her experience on mobility issues and the respect that she carried throughout San Francisco city and county governance and expanded it to other reaches of BART. I know that she was a great chair of the administration committee, working with Assistant General Manager Pam Harehold and her team to be sure that we were getting the best information and asking the right questions about our fiscal situation and assistance that we were receiving from the federal government. Janice is incredibly hardworking. She has a brilliant mind and is packed with energy. And so I very much think that she will do an outstanding job. And again, I'm honored to nominate her for vice president.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Director Ames? You're muted.
I'm sorry. I was hoping to nominate Director McPartland. We had talked about this last year. So our area, Southern Alameda County, hasn't had representation as the vice president or president role for at least 5 years. I didn't go back to all the way back, before I was elected, but I just hope that we can have some representation of leadership at Southern Alameda County area, which Director McPartland and myself represent. And so I would like to nominate Director McPartland for vice president.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Please close the nomination.
Okay. So first we will start with the vice president of the nomination of Director Janice Lee. Director Saltzman.
Yes.
Director Simon. I'll come back to her. Director Foley.
Sorry, I was waiting for a different order. Aye.
Yeah, I know.
My apologies. I had to take a call. I'm not sure if you missed me.
I did.
I believe it was for the nomination of VP. Yes.
Okay. Director Allen.
No.
Director Ames.
No.
Director Duffy.
Yes.
Director Lee.
Yes.
Director McPartland.
No.
Director Rayburn. Director Rayburn.
He appears to be frozen.
He just logged off and he's logging back on, I believe.
Jackie, are you able to reach Director Rayburn to see if he can get back on?
Okay, hold on. Let me let you speak live so I can record it as a voice vote. Okay, go ahead, Director Rayburn.
Please, I wish to vote no on Director Lee as president and yes on McPartland as.
So, excuse me.
No on Director Lee as vice president and yes on Director McPartland.
Okay, hold on for 1 second. So we have, the motion carries with 5 yes votes and 4 no votes. Directors Allen, Ames, McPartland, and Rayburn voting no. Directors Duffy, Lee, Saltzman, Simon, and Foley voting yes. Director Lee is our new vice president. Thank you.
Congratulations, Director Lee.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I wasn't like preparing any remarks for this, but I just want to thank everyone for the votes. I recognize it's a 5-4 close vote. So just know that I'm really committed to working with all of you in this new leadership role. Looking forward to meeting with you and really working certainly closely with President Saltzman to continue leadership of the BART board. So I'll leave my remarks at that. Thank you.
Thank you. And District Secretary, that concludes all the votes, so we can move to adjourn, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, then we'll adjourn this meeting, and happy holidays, happy new year, and look forward to seeing all of you next year.
Thank you.